Welcome to week 50, 2025. We're going to go over our picks of the week. This week, we've got three big markets for you: the Euro USD, the US100, and US oil. We're also going to take a look at gold and silver, but we're going to do it briefly. All right, the Euro USD, the biggest day of the week for the Euro USD is going to be Wednesday. FOMC Live, we'll have it for you in real time. We're going to start 10 minutes before the United States Federal Reserve presser, and that's going to be about 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be going at about 2:20 p.m., about 10 minutes ahead of that release. That's the biggest market driver facing the Euro USD this week. So right here, you can see we have a daily chart with our 920 EMA crossover. The 9 has crossed over the 20. That was your bullish signal. That was your buy signal on the 1st of December about a week ago. And you can see the price really rallied up, pulled back a little bit right into these moving averages, and now you're reestablished back above that 38% level, 116.33. That's a bullish read. That gives us sort of a slight bullish bias going into the Fed meeting. Remember, that's going to be the key market driver. So if you're the long side is a slight favorite here, maybe to rally up, take a look at 117 ahead of the Fed. But right here, we've just got to really watch and see what happens. The big thing I want to point out on this chart, the reversal point, right beneath this swing low that developed back on the 21st of November. If you do take that zone out, which is right around the vicinity of 115, if you do take that out, you got to be very careful because that could be an area for a long-term reversal. If that's the case, we'll go to a monthly chart. We'll show you those support zones where you should be maybe thinking about taking a long or at least maybe exiting some shorts that you have, and we're going to do that on our live streams throughout the week. Be sure to tune in. US100, a lot of talk about AI on Monday. There's an executive order on Trump's desk right now that's going to sort of a protectionalist a batch of legislation facing AI. And in an interesting type of a development, you actually saw a bit of a sell-off in some of the tech stocks to open the week. We don't expect that to last, but if it does happen, it does happen. Key levels are everything right now for the US100, which is the NASDAQ 100. Key level at 25,000. You can see on this weekly chart from our current swing high, which is going to be right up around 25,821. 38% is right around 25,000. The key levels at 25,000. That is robust downside support. You're definitely going to want to have an eye on that. If we pull back to that 25,000 area, maybe potentially a nice bid there, even on an intraday basis. Pretty good support zone there. All-time high, 26,255. I would expect a little bit of selling to come in right ahead of this all-time high, maybe a little bit of compression. Interesting, probably short-term resistance level. Odds are that once you break that all-time high, you're going to go up and have a look at 27.5, more than likely in short order. So be aware that the trend is definitely bullish here in the US 100. Topside resistance at 26,250-ish. Once that's gone, 27.5 probably comes into play sooner rather than later. US oil right now at press time, we're looking at about 58.80. Interesting dynamic here. You know, I've been one of the crude oil bears throughout this fall. The potential strikes against Venezuela have definitely prop this market up, as has sort of rate cuts from the Fed. We're expecting a rate cut on Wednesday, 25 basis points. We didn't expect that 6 weeks ago. Now that lax monetary policy, that quantitative easing typically props up commodity prices. U.S. oil has definitely been a beneficiary from the lax or the quantitative easing, and the threats of the strikes on Venezuela. That's really what's keeping this market above the yearly lows. I still see us taking out yearly lows, but just be ready for any news out of Venezuela. If there's a U.S. military kinetic strike in the region, if you do see the Maduro regime toppled, you're going to see a spike in crude oil, probably just a short-term spike, but you will see it. Very careful here with crude oil. I still like it to take out those yearly lows, probably a nice short-term bullish bid from right down around 55. You could probably do some nice scalping down there. Still like us to make new yearly lows before 2026, and we've only got a few weeks left, so it's getting to be crunch time for U.S. oil bears. This is sort of the weekly chart, though, but really just beautiful. Resistance line that we sort of put in the sand on our live streams last week. 60.51 was an absolutely money trade. I mean, it was just perfect. You saw last week's high developed on Friday. Big time sell off from 60.50. Now we're down around 58.79. We're definitely on the bear to open this week 50 in the WTI Crude Oil market. Watch that topside resistance zone for the rest of the week. You've got an EMA, a 13-week EMA at 60.46, and then you've got 60.51 as your 62% level back into the golden zone. That is what we call an absolute money short. Beautiful short. All right, well, let's go ahead and check in on gold and silver. Very simple technical analysis. The reason why I'm even showing this is I want everybody to understand that silver is rallying much faster than gold is rallying. Silver's trajectory to the top side is much more aggressive than gold's right now. You can see gold's all-time highs have already sort of been established. Silver, we're pretty much making new all-time highs almost every day. Any pullbacks from 38% in either market on the weekly time frame should be pretty good to go. Pretty good bidding area. We're going to talk more about silver and gold each and every day this week. Those two are big-time movers and shakers. I've got 60 on my radars, maybe being short-term resistance there for silver. I think if you get a break above that 60 range on silver, though, more than likely you're going to see 4,500 in gold. We're just not really sure the timing, and that seems to be the way of it when it comes to the financial markets. So be sure to join us for our daily live streams. We're going to unpack all this. Remember, the big ones for this week on our Switch Markets YouTube, you're looking at FOMC Live. That's on Wednesday, 2:20 p.m. Eastern, right before the FOMC press conference. I'll get you up and running. We'll have live coverage of Jerome Powell's presser as it unfolds. I'll critique everything from his tie to everything he says. So be sure to do that. We'll also do some live trading. Wednesday, the Switch Markets live trading webinar. We are going to do some tick scalping. Got a lot of great reviews about the last tick scalping session. We were only shooting for 9 ticks. We made 14 ticks. We're looking to make 10 ticks this week. I think we can get it done. We're going to trade some futures, maybe some Forex, a couple of different strategies. We'll show you the rules of the game, then we'll get in and execute some trades and see if we can't make a few plays. All right, everybody, that's it. Week 50, our picks of the week. Be sure to trade confident, be aggressive, but be cautious. FOMC is the big event Wednesday. Be very, very careful with that. If you're on the sidelines, it's probably a good place to stay. If you're going to trade ahead of the release, trade after the release. Maybe don't hold anything through the release. All right, that's a wrap. Have a fantastic trading week, and we'll see you soon.